Today, we're going to walk through a really profound and timeless story, one that's woven right from the scriptures. It's a parable about faith, about corruption, and, well, about the incredible patience that's needed while we wait for that final, perfect harvest.
So let's set the scene. It all starts in stillness, with a single act of pure potential. Just picture it, a field, all prepped and ready, quiet under the open sky. This is the very beginning of our story.
All right, so our first chapter is a field sown in faith, and this all comes from a story woven out of Matthew chapter 13. So you have this sower, right? And he's acting in complete faith, just scattering good seed all across his land. And then it happens. Those first little green shoots start breaking through the soil. You gotta understand, this isn't just about a crop starting to grow. No, this is the visible sign of a promise. The promise of a huge, amazing harvest to come. But, that peace, it doesn't last. Something sinister starts to happen. A hidden corruption begins to take root. And this brings us to the enemy's hidden work. And you have to pay attention to how this corruption gets in. It's not some big, obvious attack. It happens silently, under the cover of darkness, while everyone is asleep and totally unaware. An enemy sneaks in and sows tares. Now, tares are this poisonous weed, darnel. And here's the kicker. When it's young, it looks exactly like wheat. You literally can't tell them apart. So, as the plants get bigger, the problem becomes obvious. You can't ignore it anymore. The servants, the ones who are tending the field, they are just confused. They're upset. You can almost hear the panic in their voices when they run to the master, right? Sir, didn't you sow good seed in your field? Where in the world did these tares come from? And the master's response, wow. It's so simple, but it's packed with meaning. He's not surprised at all. He doesn't doubt his own work for a second. He knows exactly what happened. And he just says it with this calm, steady authority. An enemy hath done this. And what the master says next, well, this is really the heart of the whole parable. He gives this very strange command, and it becomes this huge test of patience and trust. And right here, you see this massive clash in how they're seeing things. On one hand, you've got the servants. They're fired up, full of this righteous zeal, and they want to fix it now. Let's go rip out those weeds immediately. And you know what? That's a totally natural human reaction. But the master, he sees something they don't. He knows that underground, the roots of the wheats and the weeds are all tangled up together. Any rash move, even with the best of intentions, could end up destroying the very thing they're trying to save. So this brings us to his command. And it's so counterintuitive. It's a command that is echoed for thousands of years. Let both grow together until the harvest. I mean, can you imagine hearing that? He's asking for this incredibly difficult kind of patience. He's asking for a deep, profound trust in a final, perfect resolution, instead of jumping for a flawed, immediate fix. Okay, so this command to wait, this is where the story really hits home for us today, right? What does it actually mean to be growing in a mixed world? And what is the specific calling of the wheat, of us? So for a season, the field is just mixed. The good and the evil, they're sharing the same ground, breathing the same air, getting the same sun and rain. And let's be honest, a lot of the time, the weeds look really strong, maybe even more prosperous than the wheat. But here's the detail you can't miss. The master isn't worried. He's not pacing around, anxious about how his field looks. So why isn't he troubled? How could he be so calm? Well, it's because he knows something his servants don't. He can see what's happening beneath the surface. And this verse from 2 Timothy, it just nails it. This is the source of his peace. The Lord knoweth them that are his. There's never a moment of confusion for him. He always knows who belongs to him. Okay, so what is the wheat supposed to do in this messy, mixed-up field? The parable is actually really clear about what not to do. First thing, don't envy the tares. Man, isn't that a struggle for us today? You see people cutting corners, acting without integrity, and they just seem to get ahead. The call is to not envy them. Second, don't start imitating them. Don't compromise. And maybe the most important one, do not question the master's wisdom in telling you to wait. And that brings us to the positive mission, the to-do list. Because this isn't about just sitting around passively waiting. Oh no, it's an active calling. The whole purpose of the wheat is beautifully simple. Grow, remain faithful, bear fruit, and trust the Lord of the harvest. That's it. That's the job. But why is bearing fruit such a big deal? I mean, what's it all about? Well, this verse from the Gospel of John gets right to the heart of it. This isn't just about being productive for productivity's sake. It's about purpose. Bearing fruit. That is how the Father, the master of the field, receives glory. You know, if you had to boil down this whole period of waiting into one sentence, this would be it. And it's a tough one to hold on to, especially in a world that wants instant justice for everything. But here it is. Judgment delayed is not judgment denied. The whole point is to trust the timing of the harvest. And this really tells us so much about the character of the Lord. His patience, it's not weakness. It's not that he doesn't care, what the Apostle Peter calls slackness. No, it's long-suffering. It's a purposeful, powerful patience that's all part of his bigger plan. And all of that patience, that long-suffering, it's all leading somewhere. It's leading to the promised conclusion, the great and final harvest. This is it. This is the appointed time when everything is finally set right. So what exactly is this harvest we've been talking about? The parable is crystal clear. It's the end of the world, the end of the age. And this is when heavenly reapers, not imperfect human beings, but angels, will come and execute a perfect, flawless judgment. They will finally make that separation that was just too risky to do before. And look at the outcomes. They couldn't be more different. It's laid out with absolute clarity here. The tares, the wicked, they're gathered up and burned in the fire. But the wheat, the righteous, they are gathered safely into the master's barn. We're talking about two totally separate, totally permanent destinies. You know, the psalmist just captures this feeling perfectly. It really can seem like the wicked are flourishing, right? Like the terrors are just taking over the whole field. But their power is so temporary. The psalmist says he saw them in great power, and then he looked again, and poof, they were gone, as if they were never even there. Their end is absolutely certain. And this brings us to the powerful, hopeful end of the story. There is zero ambiguity here. The harvest isn't a maybe, it is certain. The separation isn't a possibility, it is sure. And that final home for the wheat, it's not some last-minute plan. The barn is already prepared. And so we're going to end with the very same words Jesus used to wrap up this parable, because it was never just a nice story to listen to. It's a deep truth that's meant to be understood and lived out. It's a final, personal challenge to every single one of us. He that hath ears to hear, let him hear.